I'm Jake Shannon from Scientific Wrestling, and thank you so much for watching this DVD on Nelsons for grappling from a catch wrestling perspective. I'm very grateful to BJJ Fanatics for having us out again. For all you guys supporting the first two DVDs, thank you very much. And I'm excited to talk about Nelsons from a grappling perspective. I think Catch as Catch Can has a lot to offer the grappling community. For Catch as Catch Can, there are many what I like to call control positions. So in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, one of the most obvious control positions is the guard. It is a position not that is necessarily a submission in itself, but it's a position from which you get your submissions. It's a control. It's where you set things up. Nelsons are like that. Cradles are like that. The Catch 9 that you could see in the Catch Wrestling Submissions DVD are more positional controls that you can use. The Nelsons are fantastic. I don't know if there's anybody else out there really showing how to use Nelsons to set up submissions. This is by no means the end-all be-all. I'm hoping this is a launching point for you guys to experiment and play with these concepts, refine them, make them your own. Everybody's body type is slightly different. Some people with longer arms will find that Nelsons might be easier. They're also easier against other lanky wrestlers, typically. But if you do them right and do the mechanics, and you have to play with it a little bit, you will love Nelsons. So they're very simple. They're very effective. A couple very general rules. Try to remember to keep your elbows in. Keep your head up. And stay in close to the guy. Don't try to get too much distance on a Nelson. We'll show you why when we go through some of the counters and recounters on Nelsons. Otherwise, I really appreciate you guys, and I hope to see more Nelsons out there in grappling competitions. Okay, so I'm happy to have with me Jesse Perez. Jesse has been with me since the early 2000s, so he's a beast. You're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but yes, you're a full coach with us. You've been with us. You came up under Billy and me. What else? I mean, he's just a beast. So and the reason I brought him for this is that Jesse's specialty, of many, but the one that he's really good at, is using Nelsons in competition. So I wanted to bring him because he's got some really nice fine points for you guys, and he's taken them to the lab and really killed it with it. So again, Jesse Perez. We're going to start off with a quarter Nelson. Now, for those of you bad at fractions, you're screwed because there's a quarter Nelson, there's a half Nelson, there's a three-quarter Nelson, there's a power three-quarter, a power half, a further half Nelson, there's leg Nelsons. There's a lot of Nelsons. So we're going to introduce you to the Nelson family today. Jesse, would you take high defense? So again, for us, just terminology again. High defense, here, so this is actually low defense. Notice his, staying low. Notice his fingers are protected here. This is going to be important when we do the leg Nelsons, because a lot of me setting up a leg Nelson, when I got the guy's back, is going to be actually stepping on his hand to lock it in. But this is a very good position. But catch wrestling in particular excels from a position where the guy is in a turtle or you're on top, right? So let's start with a quarter Nelson. Quarter Nelson is very simple. I'm going to put my hand on the back of the head. This hand goes under. So the head end, far side arm goes on the head. The leg end, near side arm, comes underneath. Now this is your traditional one. You grab the head and you frame up here. Now the problem with this is that the wrist bends very easily like this. So if I do this and I'm framed just like this, and I try to push him down, if he pushes up, he can bend my wrist and I can not have an effective Nelson. Instead, if you put your hand the way Billy taught us, like a fist, and if you, for whatever reason, don't want a fist, you can do a karate chop, it doesn't really matter. I like the fist because it tightens everything up. You can do that with both. So I'm going to take it, place it here, place it here. Now it's bone on bone. He tries to raise his head. There's no way. It's like two 2x4s holding his head in place. So that's a quarter Nelson. Okay? Top, back of the head, club him down, go under, and cross on top. Now, if you really don't want to do that, if you're gonna grab to where you're wrist on wrist. So I'll go here and I'll go over. Now I'm using, again, the bones instead of the wrists for strength. Again, I prefer this, but you can do this with the bone over. So again, that is the quarter Nelson. Okay, so the quarter Nelson is pretty good. In fact, Jesse's going to show you some really killer setups. What do you call it? The reverse. Billy called it the reverse Anaconda or something.
The reverse Anaconda.
So it's really great for setups, all kinds of stuff. And we're going to go into finishes, but I want to show you a counter. However, I want to show you how to not get countered just with the hold without having to recounter. So back down. So the counter, and I'll show you in a second here. When I've got this here, the thing when you've got a Nelson, I want to really be driving my weight and try to put any Nelson, like a half Nelson, 3/4. I really want to be trying to put my hip up in his armpit. So I want to be up on him like this. This is very difficult for him to counter out of this position. I can turn him, I can set up my submission, whatever. Okay, so let's switch out. So quarter, he's got me in a quarter. Now get closer. That's it. Now do like a looser, like a normal guy, because this is not going to work on the count on the Nelson, quarter Nelson I'm showing you. All you're going to do is this hand is going to clamp on his leg and arm, his leg end that's going underneath. Now let me out for a second. This is going to be the same. Anytime somebody puts their arm underneath, you're going to do this same counter. Anytime somebody is doing a half with under the armpit, you're going to do the other counter I'll show you during half Nelsons. But for now, this is anytime they reach underneath. Go ahead. So he's here, I clamp. Now, I'm going to lift this near side leg to him. I'm going to sprag up, and I'm going to slide this knee to his knee and roll him over me. So we're here, clamp up, knee, roll, elevate him over, come here, and to a finish that you like. So one more time. Puts on a Nelson, I clamp, lift my knee, roll him over me, elevate, come on top, and finish however you want to finish. So that's a counter, standard counter to a quarter Nelson. Okay, so again, the counter on a 3/4, you have to clamp the arm, the arm near to him, you're going to clamp his arm, you're going to step up with your near leg to him, and you're going to sit through into him. The way I remember it is I go knee to knee. And then you can elevator him with the knee that touches his knee, and he rolls over you, okay? Clamp, sprag, sit in, roll, elevate, and into your finish. From this side, clamp, knee, sit into him, elevate, and around. Counter to a 3/4, or to a quarter Nelson. Okay, so I'm very excited to have Jordan with us also, because Jesse and I are both old men and there's only so much cranking we can take anymore. So we got the young blood in here to help us. I'm going to show you just a nice finish off of a quarter. So high defense, or you can take low defense. Here you go. So I'm going to do my quarter again. This time, as I drive into him and I jam my hip into him, I'm going to turn him. I'm going to roll him over onto the far shoulder. When you're doing Nelsons, that's your typical goal. It's either to pick a shoulder or which way you're going to go. On halves, you have a lot more options. Typically on quarters, it's a lot easier to drive to the far side. So I take it and I have him. As I drive him over, he falls. I'm going to pin his bicep, scoop the head. I'm going to put my hand, not in the armpit. I'll show you why. I showed you in the last DVD, the catch wrestling submissions. I'm going to put it behind the elbow. So I'm going to hold this here and put it here. Now I roll onto him. I don't raise up off of him. I just stay here and I roll my side, put my hand on his hip, and circle towards his head. So that's a stockade. So a quarter Nelson into a stockade. Let's do it one more time. So I take my quarter, jam my hip into him. As he rolls, I follow him down, pin the bicep. I scoop the head, put the fist behind the elbow. My other hand comes to the hip, the far side hip here, and I high leg over onto him for the finish. Stockade. Okay, again, quarter Nelson into a stockade. You'll hear it in pro wrestling called the sugar hold. And again, a lot of people do it wrong. I'm going to show you how to do it where you really get a nice tight submission. Again, nice quarter. I jam my hip up into his armpit. As I roll him, I come and I pin this arm. Now I scoop the head, put it in the elbow, grab the hip, and I high leg over for the submission, sugar hold. So let's do it with your head going this way. So again, Nelson, I jam up my hip into his armpit. This is really important because he will counter if you don't do that. So, and I'm crossing. Here, jam him over and pin that bicep. This goes under, this goes to the elbow, this goes on the hip, and I high leg over. And we get the nice crank on the neck, sugar hold or stockades. Okay, so now we're going to work on a quarter Nelson setup into a crucifix hold. So high defense. Again, we take our quarter. This time, as I don't try to turn him like I was doing the last time. I'm actually trying to do a setup. And a lot of times this will present itself. A decent wrestler, a lot of times will put that hand out to try to stop the turn. So when he posts with this arm, as he goes out, I'm going to turn this way and I'm going to hook it. Now I'm going to come through this way. This arm pulls through, this arm stays wrapped, and I roll into his neck. So I basically do a push-up into him. So let's come back up. Let's turn your ass into him. So, one more. So from this side, again, I take the Nelson, he puts this arm out. I turn towards him, and I scoop with this leg, and then I'm keeping my Nelson. I fall to the scoop leg, hip, this way, okay? Now I keep this arm, pull this arm out and flatten out, and I roll into him like a push-up. So, let's try it one more time. Head that way. Nelson, jam him up, he blocks it. I spin around, knee down, step, slide, hook your leg around his arm, pull this hand out, keep this arm wrapped, and roll into him with a tap. So a crucifix from a quarter Nelson. Okay, so I've been doing all these Nelsons from the ground, but you can use them as setups when you're standing as well. So anytime you can get a front headlock position, you can usually get a setup on a Nelson. I mean, it's not like it's just easy, but you'll notice them if you start looking for them, opportunities that present themselves. So Jordan and I are wrestling, and I get just a collar and a wrist, say. I throw his head under, okay, but I want to take a Nelson this time. So now, instead, I still have his head here. I'm just going to shift it over and grab under here. So now I have the Nelson on this side. Really simple, from standing, okay? Now, there's a number of things I can do here, but the cow catch is pretty easy. So I'm going to take the Nelson setup. I've got him. He maybe doesn't feel comfortable. He's probably going to try to get his hips under him. Before he gets his hips under, I want to change this. I'm going to let it go and hook here. Then I'm just going to sit this knee, again, knee to knee, across the body. Here, under, into a cow catcher. So, you okay? Yep. Let's do it from this side. So, we start with the collar wrist. Now, toss the head, pass it under, and set up a Nelson, okay, on this side. Now, from here, I've got the Nelson, but I'm going to underhook this arm and grab him up here. Once I have this wizard type, I still have the half on. And I'm like sucking it into my chest. Here. This grabs here. Now I'm going to go knee to knee. here and roll them over and sit through. For a cow catcher from a standing quarter Nelson.
All right, so Jesse Perez here, and what I'm going to show is a way I would use the quarter Nelson in competition and a couple of finishes I would hit off that quarter Nelson. One of the things Billy showed me was a little bit of a different grip. As I hit my quarter Nelson, I would get the chin and control the chin, and then come over the wrist. And then that's going to help me set up my chokes. The first choke I'm going to show is a baseball bat choke. I'm going to get my weight on my man, walk over, turn him, keeping the chin for control, sliding through, controlling the arm, sliding this arm over, and hitting my baseball bat choke. Hit it from a different angle here. Okay, right there. Here you can see the chin, what we call a chin strap or chin control. Come through, control my wrist. As I walk forward, my weight is going to turn my man. I'm going to shoot my arm through, lock in that baseball bat choke, listen to his heart, and start walking towards his head. Dropping my elbow to the mat. Hit the third angle. Over here. Have his chin. Step through. Get my head in between the shoulder blades. Pulling him tight, keeping my body tight to him. Walking around. The pressure turns him. Keep control of that chin. Lock up my baseball bat choke. Hear his heartbeat. And walk around. Okay, so what we're going to show now is a quarter Nelson to a reverse Anaconda. A reverse Anaconda is also known as a darce and as a reverse forearm lever choke. So in competitions, I hit more reverse Anacondas than every other submission I hit combined. It really works in competitions, whether you're in the gi or no gi. And I'm going to show a way to set this up with a Russian roll through. So I take that quarter Nelson the same way I showed earlier. I'm going to have the chin and I'm going to have the wrist. I'm going to keep my head down, get pressure on my man so it doesn't roll away. I'm going to take 2 steps away from the way I'm going to roll. Kick that leg through and roll him over, keeping the chin. This arm shoots through. I lock that up tight, spread my legs, and squeeze. Now the other grip is, if I go to my forearm, I can curl this fist to my face. And the easy thing to remember, if your hand is on your bicep, hand goes on his back. If your hand is on your forearm, the hand curls to your face. We'll show that from a different angle. Got his chin. Have my quarter Nelson. Keep pressure on him so he can't sit out. Take my 2 baby steps. Shoot that leg through. Roll him over and pull him to his side. Keeping control. Shoot that arm through. Lock that in. Sprawl out. And squeeze. Or forearm lever. One more angle. Over here, controlling the chin, getting the forearm, having the pressure on the man, step, throw that leg through, roll him over, keeping the chin, slide that arm through, weight on the man, squeeze, forearm. And that's our quarter Nelson to a Russian roll through to a reverse Anaconda.
I think it's important for you guys to understand, as we're doing this, we're being very careful with our opponents, not really cranking it, not putting on super tight, and they're still really, really tight and very, very painful. Both Jesse and Jordan are going to probably be pretty stiff and sore tomorrow. You have to be very careful with the neck. This is one of those, do as I say, don't do as I do. I started grappling in 1994, back before, it was kind of Wild West. I didn't really have many coaches. We just grappled and did challenge matches as we could, and we didn't know a lot of things. And in the same way that the NFL is very much plagued by CTE and concussions, there is, in my opinion, in the next 5 years, we're going to see a huge, I don't want to call it an epidemic because I don't want to be an alarmist. It's happened to me. And here I am, but I'm also very lucky. And so I just want to put this out there as kind of a PSA or whatever. I feel an obligation to the younger grapplers. Just like if you have half a brain, you tap early, tap often on any kind of heel hook because you don't want to blow out an ACL or whatever. It's just not worth it. I want you guys to really take it home. Do not fight out of chokes and be very careful with these neck cranks, because the thing coming for grappling in the next 5 years, if we don't do that, it's already coming, is what's known as carotid dissections and strokes, to be honest. They both have happened to me. I think, if I could date it right, because I was just diagnosed last year, but the doctor told me it happened a long time ago. When I first noticed the symptoms was probably 2008, 2007, and I wrestled until 2013 when my arm stopped working and I was having blindness from strokes, and I didn't know what they were. I didn't know how to diagnose it. So please be very careful. My entire left carotid is 100% occluded, which means collapsed. It's gone. And there's no putting a stent in it. I have one carotid left. I love grappling. I've done it for all of my adult life. And it was probably the hardest thing for me to give up. It was like the death of somebody that you love when I could no longer get on the mat and really do it. I mean, I was lucky to be able to shift over into coaching, but I would still love to be wrestling. So please, tap early, tap often, be very careful, because when you're, especially with the gi. Now, the way we do it, like you'll see Jesse do this power half guillotine paper cutter thing when you're putting the cutting bone against the carotid and stuff. Listen, this bone is 1,000 times stronger than your carotid artery, and there's only so many times you can really take it hard. Just like when you're doing MMA training, hopefully you're saving those hard-hitting punches for the actual match. Save the really tough stuff that you're going to be doing for when you actually have a competition. Don't be doing this in the gym. Take a lot of care and be very, very cautious with your training partners and with yourself. Protect yourself, because the carotid, a carotid dissection basically is when there's such trauma to the carotid artery, it tears or rips, and then a clot forms. And you have two main arteries to your brain, the two carotids here, and it's not good. A lot of people stroke out, people can die. It's very serious. So please, 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 anytime you're doing neck cranks or chokes that go against the carotid, be very, very cautious of strokes. It happened in MMA. Brian Johnson, I don't know if you guys remember him from years ago in like the 90s, a great, big, strong guy, stroked out from a carotid dissection, damage to his carotid from a neck crank. Very serious, and thank you, and keep at it. Have fun with this stuff. That's why we're showing it. It definitely works, and it's amazing. Just be careful. Okay, so now we're going to get to what I believe is probably one of the most slept on maneuvers in grappling, and it's the half Nelson. The half Nelson is, for those of you who like double wrist locks or Kimuras, the half Nelson is like everywhere, and it is brutal, and it's totally not used, and it should be. Nelsons, again, are like cradles. They are great control positions. They are a place from which, for us, you can use it, because catch wrestling, you can win with a pin or a submission. So, all the pinning is great for us, but some of the jiu-jitsu guys struggle with the relevance. So I started to collect what I call finishers. And probably the most famous finisher made famous by Eddie Bravo is the twister, which came from wrestling and catch wrestling. And it's a pin originally, but it's also a finish. So it's a portmanteau, which is a combination of words. Pin and finish, a finisher. And so there's a whole host of those, right? But beyond using pins as submissions, there are a number. Like I said, the twister, and we'll actually show you a couple from Nelson's. But the cradle and the Nelson can be used once you get a good Nelson or you get a good cradle, then you can use it to set up your submissions. So again, you You could see BJJ Fanatics, Neil Melanson does a great job. A very good grappler down in Florida, Dave Petrone, really uses a lot of cradles for setups. So if you think about the cradle or the Nelson as a wrestler's guard, I know that might be a little weird for you to conceptualize, but think of them as a position from which you set up submissions and you have a lot of control. So let's take high defense. The half is money, guys. Trust me. Again, you're going to not put your hand flat, again, because this will happen. This is not structurally strong. This is much stronger, okay? So a half, you're going to use the head end, far side arm to go under their armpit onto the head. Okay, the same thing. I'm going to jam up into his hip. See, he's already breaking down because it's, and now stay kind of strong for a second. I'm going to put my hip in here. When I put it, I don't like to put it right on the back of the neck. We can do that in other moves when you're setting up chokes, but not for right now. I'm trying to actually lever down the head. So to do that, right, Archimedes' lever, right? He said, give me a lever long enough I can move the world. I don't care if this guy's got a noodle neck like me or he's got a giant freaking one as big as my waist. If I get out further on the lever, my strength grows proportionally. So I could be here and he can fight it. But if I go here, there's no way because I have leverage. And this is not bending at all. Got it? So you're going to get proper leverage, jam the hip in there really tight. That's going to be your half Nelson. So again, what I like to do is, if this guy's turtled, it's super duper easy. So go down to your elbows. Super duper easy. The hardest part is getting under here. What I like to do is I bump them up so the weight goes onto this elbow and off that. Right? So when I bump them, I go in and I go for the wrist like a one-on-one. He'll think I'm chasing it, so put your arm out, go in front of you, and that's where I go for the Nelson. I chase this arm and then wrap and put the Nelson on. Then I jam up in the hips and he goes. It's just very difficult to stop. So that's just the setup. Now we're going to show you some counters and some submissions and finishes from the half Nelson. Okay, so now I'm going to show you some counters to the Nelson. Now, again, I told you get that hip up in there. These won't work so well if the guy has his hip up in there. These are for guys who don't know the Nelsons the way to do a Nelson I'm teaching. The other thing, just get down for a second. When you're doing a Nelson, the other thing that I want to mention before we get into the counter is if I have the half on here and I'm jamming my hip, what that automatically does is it puts my head either directly over his head or past his head. If your head's here on a Nelson, you'll get a decent guy. Not a great guy, but you'll get a decent guy. If your head's here, that's good. This is great. This is death. Like, the more you can get your head over, the more leverage and weight you get on the back of his head. So jamming your hip into his armpit really helps with that process. Again, head up, elbows in, and jam in there. And I'm trying to get over him as far as I can. So now, if Jordan's on the side of me and gets his half, before he can jam into me, see his hip is back and his head is back, this is where you get the counter. If he's too far forward, it's very difficult. I have to really wing hard to do it. So, but that's what you do. It's just called winging down. I'm going to take this arm. I'm going to try to put my shoulder to the mat. So he's here, got the Nelson, right? So I wing it down and bring him down. Now I come up, grab the far side leg. Okay, now you can hold on to the arm. If I just hold on to the arm, I can take an outside wrist lock this way. However, I can grab the far side leg this way, let go, grab the head, grab inside here, and start squeezing. And you get the tap. It's a lot of pressure. Okay, so let's do it again. The second he gets out Nelson, and you wing down hard and bring him down. You can't wait. Once I'm here, I'm just gonna roll, grab the far side, grab the head, grab inside my legs, and crush. Okay, or if I keep this arm, I can take this. Now get your hips off and go here. I actually, instead of framing up, I prefer to hold that, come under, and go this way for the outside. But they're just variations. So again, that's the counter. Let's go this direction. Get on this side though. As he gets it, I wing down hard. Now I come back, grab that far side, that side, not the near side. I've still got this hooked above his elbows on this side, not here, because his arm will come right out. Hook it here and here. Then I get the head, grab inside my legs, and crush. Notice my hips are coming up as I bend like that. So let's do it facing the camera this way. He gets there, I wing down hard. See, I'm just collapsing down. Put my weight onto him, grab. A wing down counter to a half Nelson. Okay, so a great combination to use with a half Nelson is a far side one-on-one. Again, it's better, like I said, I'm showing you counters. These counters don't work as well when you jam the hip and get the head over the head or past the head. That's just good positioning, and you can cut off a lot of defense with good positioning. You can cut off a lot of offense with good positioning. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you're going to do this on a guy when he's not in that position. He's going to get the half, and he's going to get the far side one-on-one, and then you're going to do that same roll. Now, like I said, when you reach underneath, you sit into the guy. Well, this is also when anytime I can trap with my arm the leg and arm of my opponent, that's when I'm going to do the sit in and roll. So I'll go into high defense. He gets the half, and he starts to wrap for this. Now, see, he's got me, but now I got him. Raise my leg up, knee to knee, roll him over. Super duper easy. Roll over, take the outside toe. So let's come back all the way here. Come back here. He takes the half, he takes the near side, I clamp, raise my leg, sit in, roll him over, and grab to the outside toe. So let's do it again. This time I'll just face forward. We're gonna go the other way. So I grab the arm, I clamp it, raise my leg, knee to knee, roll him over, and I can grab the leg here, or I can go for the scoop, whatever. So again, a very simple counter by controlling the leg and arm of your opponent, raising your near side leg, post, sit in knee to knee, and roll them over, and follow them through for the finish. So that's a simple half Nelson counter when they have the far side one-on-one.